So on the 3rd of December, I've got the 90s tapes volume 2 coming out on Just Underground Recordings. So if you remember, volume 1 was all about the DAT tapes that I found and all of these ancient productions from the 90s. And they were remastered and brought out, and it was a fantastic success. So thank you to everybody for the support there. So volume 2 is here. And this is going to be an early look at some of these tracks. I'm going to play some, just talk about some of them. I'm going to kick off here. This one here is called The Seduction, and this is a pretty raw track, but it works, you know, and this is one of the first tracks that I produced back in the day. I don't know how well this is coming across on the phone. I haven't had the opportunity to route audio in any complex way. This is literally just running on speakers. I'm not sure about the balance of my voice against the music, but let's see how it goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to forward a bit. Not necessarily what you'd expect from me, but remember, this is probably a 20-year-old version of me. This is way back. This would have been recorded and produced on the Roland W30 back in the day, 12-bit. So, you know, using that breathy vocal as kind of like a main element, as well as the synth sounds there. It's like a pre-chorus now. And then it heads into this section, which is like a chorus with these vocal stabs on there. So that's pretty much it on that one. Just gonna bring it down. Next one. This is Berlin Soul. This is one of the pseudonyms that I came out with back in the day, and this is a track called Gotta Love You, and this is the Deep Soho mix. So it's a different vibe. I'm gonna forward this now. Let me take it back to that vocal section. And actually, this is a mix that's been requested for quite a long time. I've had a lot of people get in touch with me over this one. So I'm looking forward to this coming out as part of this. Yeah, it's just mad listening back on these because, you know, I hear an earlier version of myself, and yeah, it's incredible actually. It's a very hard feeling to explain, to be honest. But part of it's like traveling back in time, you know. So anyway, that's kind of driving. It builds gradually over time. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull up the next one. So track 3. And this is quite an emotional one for me because I wrote this track with a good old friend of mine, Brett, and he's no longer with us. So we put this out under the name The Sound of H, and it was called In Your Eyes. So this is coming out again. Very rare. Was only on vinyl way back in the day. Very limited run of records. Just going to forward this. And this is a real kind of like piano house anthem. You hear that section coming up in a minute. And this is almost like a verse section. You've got these triggered vocal parts. And then what happens is it breaks down, there's a little string run, and it goes into almost like a kind of anthemic chorus section, which is coming up. Yeah, this is quite an emotional one for me, like I said. To bring this back, but I love it. It's going to be amazing for people to hear Brett's work, in this time, So, really important one for me. So the next one, let me just bring this up. So we're going to have track 4 on the 90s tapes, volume 2. This is a real special one for me. So this is called Unity, and this is in a version that's just hasn't been available before, which has a bit of an extended, drawn out DJ intro, which is great. And this is a real deep, almost kind of like Kerry Chandler-esque kind of vibe. He's always been an influence to me, for sure. Let me just take this forward. So we have this vocal hook, beats building up, and it drops into this chord stab section, and then later on there's kind of like a piano hook with a vocal as well. So that still does it, absolutely. So yeah, it built up gradually. I'm going to forward again. So extra drum elements over time. And then we head into this breakdown chorus with an organ bass as well. Yeah, it's amazing. I haven't been musically trained, but back in the day I would just find my way around the keyboard and come out with these chords. I don't know where they come from, but they've always been there. These weren't samples, it was literally playing the piano, getting it in there. The chord was a sample though. I would have taken that from some vinyl of, I don't know. I used to sample records all the time. And the vocals were from the Vocal Bites sample CD from Time and Space. And I used that a lot on the tracks around this time. So anyway, yeah, kind of like choppy, stabby kind of vibe going on there. Right, next, so track 5, Mission of Love. Let's have a look. So really quite lively drum. So I'm going to forward this. It's got a long intro. So tom elements being introduced, vocal stabs, and then a bass. There's a real nice kind of, let me just bring this down a bit, a real nice brass polysynth that's filtered, and you'll hear that coming up. Certainly when it breaks down and it comes up, it kind of starts off really warm, but then gets brighter over time. Right, here we go. Actually, it's the other way around. It's bright, then goes to dull, and then goes to bright again. I've done too many tracks, I just can't remember all the details. Little vocal hook. Okay, so that's Mission of Love. And next up, we've got track number 6, which is I Just Can't Stop. It's a Burning dub. This is a much more kind of peak time, techie, kind of tribally almost track. It's certainly got a bit of a Todd Terry kind of vibe to the beats. I was inspired by a lot of different people and continue to be. Traktor, a big influence, absolutely. So I'm going to forward this. So a little cheeky sample. And then these heavy drum elements on top. And then basically turns into this really driving rhythm. And then that is partnered up by a stab sound, a chord stab coming soon. Okay, coming up. That's such a wicked groove. Yeah, what I'm going to say is a lot of the time back in this time, in the early to mid 90s, I was going to Ministry of Sound, to the box, the main room. That place was pretty much my home. So a lot of the time I was making music that would suit that environment. And this is a very particular type of track was played at maybe around, say, about 3 a.m. And the system had really warmed up by that time. It was these kind of tunes. So it definitely reminds me of Ministry main room. And on that subject, the next one. So the next one's got me on the mic. It's quite funny. So this is a track called Work It. There we go.
Work it, come on, shake it.
Quite possibly the corniest lyrics ever.
Shake it, come on.
Work it, come on.
Come on.
Shake it, come on.
Work it, come on. Shake it, come on. Work it, come on.
Another one inspired by Ministry.
Work it, come on.
Particular time of the night, really.
Work it,
Like that 3 a.m. kind of vibe.
come on.
Big room sound.
Come on.
Bassline inspired by MK. That kind of organ bass, but a real kind of, not like the M1 organ bass, it's more of a kind of lower pitch sound. Yeah, like Fourth Measure Men, For You, which was a big one for me around that time. And there's a chord sample here that's been reversed and filtered. That was a piano sample that I played in once again and then filtered it. And this has got kind of like a second part to it. I'm going to take it forward. And so there's like a piano breakdown after this filtered section. There we go. And a real cheap and nasty sounding sax sample, but it works. And this was inspired by, at the time, Masters at Work, I Can't Get No Sleep, which kind of flipped halfway through. So I did a similar kind of thing here, but it's nowhere near as good. Anyway, so that's that. And what have we got? What's next? Could Bring Out the Love. I can't even say it. So this is very different vibe, much more relaxed. Kind of laid back. I'm going to forward it. It's a real jazzy chord, little kind of weird low-pitched vocal sample, interesting little choppy drum sounds, and then a warm subby bass on there. Just going to forward this. A really corny flute riff that I played live. Sorry, you might not be able to hear me. So yeah, this flute synth riff played live. Not particularly good, but it works. I think it's all right. I'm very conscious of time. I'm going to move forward. Right, so the next one. So what do we got here? So after this, it's a track called Temptation. Actually, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do part 2. Are we nearly at halfway? Yeah, we're halfway. Right, so that's a good point. It's 15 tracks, but I've gone slightly over because 15 doesn't divide equally by 2, does it? So anyway, yeah, that's part 1. So this has been a preview of 90s Tapes, Volume 2, Danny Joe Lewis on Just Underground Recordings, and it's coming out on the 3rd of December 2021. All right, thank you. comments, anything, welcome. Please let me know what you're feeling, and I will aim to do a part 2 at some point. All right, peace.